Good morning, Bernard. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Priscilla. I can see your screen.
Fantastic. Today we're going to read an article and discuss this article about travel. It is from, I believe, the New York Times. Let's talk about the picture first. Let's describe this picture that we see. Can you tell me about this picture?
In this picture, I can see someone who looks to be a soldier with a weapon in his right shoulder, but it not seems a real soldier, but perhaps a phantom of a real soldier, because the picture of this man is white and strange.
Mhm.
He's in a field and is covered by a big sheet, a big blanket, white blanket. The sky is gray. The trees on the background are no leaves, and it's a sad photography.
Okay. So maybe this is a statue of a,
Ah, yes,
of
it
a
seems the
soldier.
statue, yes.
Okay. All right. Let's read 36 Hours in Washington, D.C.
Yes, perhaps three 36 hours in Washington, D.C. No longer does the city dubbed the swamp by its inhabitants in chief have the starchy, insular appearance of a white male fiefdom. It's really difficult, this sentence for me. Dubbed, the swamp. The swamp, I know a swamp, but dubbed I don't know. Starchy is difficult.
Okay. No,
Fiefdom,
no,
fiefdom.
no longer does the city dubbed the swamp by its inhabitants in chief have the starchy insular appearance of a white male fiefdom. There's a dynamism that, along with its fabled history, qualifies it as a great American city. Dubbed means to be named. For example,
Means to be
dubbed, I'm going to give you your wife. Your wife's name is what? What's her name?
Monique.
Monique, but you might call her sweetheart. Dubbed. So you're calling something by a name that really isn't the real name. Or we say to people that are not nice as evil. That's not their names. So it's what we call something. Dubbed. Dubbed is a name that we give to things.
Okay.
Starchy is very stiff and firm. When we put starch in our clothes, it's to keep them from getting wrinkled or to get the wrinkles out. Okay?
Uh, Dubbed is like a nickname.
Yes, dubbed is like a nickname.
No longer does the city dub the swamp by its inhabitant. Ah, okay. The inhabitants in the city
Hmm.
call their city the swamp
That's correct.
instead of its real name.
Right. Instead of saying Washington, D.C., they say we're going to go to the swamp.
Oh, because Washington City was built in a swamp, perhaps.
Maybe, maybe so. I'm not sure why it is called the swamp. Maybe we will find out. All right. Should,
Okay.
should we continue?
Just I can no longer does the city dub the swamp by its inhabitant in chief of the starchy insular appearance of a white male fiefdom. What is a fiefdom?
Now, fiefdom, I don't know. So let me take a look.
Okay, okay.
Let me take a look to see what it means. Uh, it means a fief. I don't know what that is either. So here is fief. Something over which one has rights or exercises control. That says feudal. Fief. 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 Or fief. I'm still not so sure what it means. Fief. Fief. Let's see if I can find another. Control C. Define. Fief. Okay, it's an estate of land, especially when held on condition of feudal service, a person's sphere of operation or control. So maybe it's where a person owns something.
Okay.
Okay, by its inhabitants in chief have the starchy intel appearance of a white male fiefdom. Okay. That is not so clear for me, so I'd have to continue to read the article to get a better understanding.
Okay.
All right, so let's look and see where does this article take us. Well, now I don't see the article. I thought this was an article. Oh, so here's the article. Much better.
Okay.
So here we have overlooking. Continue.
Those who visit the nation's capital for the first time in a decade or so are in for a pleasant surprise. No longer does the city, derisively dubbed the swamp by its inhabitant-in-chief, have the starchy, insular appearance of a white male fiefdom. Overlooking, if one can, the federal government's maladroitness as a destination, Washington today possesses a dynamism that, along with its fabled history, qualifies it as a great American city. It's now entirely possible to spend a couple of memorable days here without once hitting a New York stripped steak or darkening a marble corridor. Check those boxes on your visit, then come back for this stone's revelation.
Okay.
Really difficult.
All right, so let's look at this. Those who visit the nation's capital for the first time in a decade or so are in for a pleasant surprise. This is telling me that if I have not been to Washington, D.C. in the past 10 years, if I go there today, I will be surprised with what I find and what I will be able to see.
Because the city has changed.
Because the city has changed. Okay? No longer does the city derisively dub the swamp by its inhabitants-in-chief have the start.
What does it mean? It's inhabitant-in-chief.
By its inhabitants-in-chief. We know that, in my opinion, that the chief is the head person, the main person, the one in charge.
Okay.
So the inhabitants-in-chief, those who are residents of the city, have the starchy, they're straightforward and just to the point, into appearance of white male fiefdom. So to me, this is just saying that people in this area are not very friendly, maybe. Okay. So, overlooking, if one can, the federal government maladroitness as a destination, Washington today possesses a dynamism that, along with its favorable history, qualifies it as a great American city. So now we would look up this word.
Okay.
Maladroitness.
I know this word. I know this word because it's the same in French. In French, it's maladroit.
Okay, and what does it mean?
It means that someone who doesn't do well what he did, what he do. He is not really keen. He's not really skilled. He's a maladroit.
Okay, so here it says it means someone that is clumsy or incompetent.
Mm.
Okay,
Incompetent.
someone unable to fulfill their job.
Okay. I understand.
All right. Now it's now entirely possible to spend a couple of memorable days here without once eating a New York strip steak or darkening a marble corridor. There are so many places to go, so many things to see, that it's all right if you didn't get to one of the best restaurants. You will find nice places to eat. Check those boxes on your first visit, then come back for this town's revelation. Okay,
Okay.
let's see. Friday.
Friday.
Okay.
Since its opening in September 2016, the city's hottest draw has been the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History, Culture on the National Mall. The museum's immense collection is well worth the long lines. The artifacts, including Nat Turner's Bible, Louis Armstrong trumpet, and the first edition of Booker T. Washington's 1907 book The Negroes in Business, are themselves impressive. But the three-tiered layout lends the feeling of a journey, by turns painful and triumphant. The path ends with a moving video collection of temporary African Americans reflecting on their life experiences. Free admission. World Cup tickets are available on weekday. Okay, in fact, this article is about the promotion of visiting Washington, D.C., I suppose.
Yes, I think this is what it is about. So it reads here, since its opening in September 2016, the city's hottest draw has been the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture on the National Mall. So this historical building or museum is new, and it opened in 2016.
Okay.
And when it calls it the hottest draw, this is the newest thing that people are coming to Washington, D.C. to see. The museum's immense collection is well worth the long lines. So there are long lines of people waiting to get in to see the museum. The artifacts.
It means that if you want to visit the National Museum of African Americans, you need to have a queue for a long time, but it's worth to wait for a long time because it's really a good museum.
That's correct. It is worth the wait to queue up, stand in a long line until it is your turn.
Okay, I understand.
The artifacts, including Nat Turner's Bible, Louis Armstrong's trumpet, and the first edition of Booker T. Washington's 1907 book, The Negro in Business, are themselves impressive. So included in this museum is Nat Turner's Bible and Louis Armstrong trumpet, along with a book written by Booker T. Washington.
I know Louis Armstrong trumpet. I don't know the others.
Okay. But they're great African Americans. But the three-tiered layout lends the feeling of a journey, by turns painful and triumphant. So we know that this museum is 3 stories tall. The path ends with a moving video collection of contemporary African Americans reflecting on their life and experiences. So if you want to go there, you'll learn more about African Americans.
Okay. I didn't understand the sentence with surlined, but the three-tiered layout lends the feeling of a journey by turns painful and triumphant.
Okay, if you think about the history of African Americans, perhaps during slavery time, more so than any other period, that as they made their journey to freedom, there were times when life was very painful for them, especially if they were caught, hanged, or beaten. And then there were triumphant times when they reached safety and they became free. So as you travel these 3 floors to see all that there is to see about the African Americans' legacy, you're going to find some things very painful to observe.
Yes.
As you continue the journey.
The three-tiered layout.
3-tiered means that it is 3 floors.
Ah, a layout floor.
Yeah, each floor has something different to show,
Okay.
for you to learn about.
Okay. The 3 floors lends the feeling of a journey.
Right. So if you were going to ski, for example,
Yes.
you're going to go around bends and trees and hills. That's a journey.
Okay.
And so as people go from one floor to the next, there are pictures on the wall that they can look up as they travel around the corners and maybe even get on the elevator to observe things as they experience the journey. Right?
Okay.
Free admission walk-up tickets are available on Wednesday, starting at 1. They're available on weekdays, starting at 1 p.m. So one can visit this museum for free at 1 p.m. All right.